ballers, it's Preachy, and this week we're bringing you the Advanced Protection Paladin guide. You guys have been sending me various emails about how the Protection Paladin has developed over the course of patch 4.3, and in fact from the start of Cataclysm all the way till Mists of Pandaria. How can we push ourselves to be the absolute best? While we jump into this, you guys, if you're new to Paladin tanking, need to check out a couple of videos. One is the basic Protection Paladin guide that's going up in the background right now, and you also need to check out the basic tanking guide if you're new to tanking. There's some handy hints and tips there to get you into being a tank in dungeons and then moving on to raids. All good stuff for you there. So the big question is gearing. Let's go start with gearing for now. Gearing has become a weird thing for the Paladins, but it's all synergizing really, really well. Our gearing now works very, very well with the items in the Dragon Soul Heroic. The first thing is the block cap. What is the block cap, Preacher? We have discussed this in various other videos, but the block cap essentially means that if a big, rowdy, badass boss, an absolute gangster boss, swings his big right hook at you, you're going to stand there, say, "Come at me, bro," and essentially he can either miss you, you will dodge him, you will parry his attack, or you will straight up stick your shield straight up against that fist and block some of that attack. You will absolutely do that every single time. There is no possible way that that boss can hit you in the face, and if you want to work out how to get your block cap, check that basic guide we linked earlier. So, why are we now gemming for stamina, Preach? I've armored some of the top tanks. Why are they all gemming for stamina? Well, essentially, heroic Dragon Soul gear, and with the mix with the normal mode gear, if you're not quite best in slot, has enabled us to get block cap very, very easily when we combine it with raid buffs and foods and so on and so forth. We can get that block cap without the need for gemming for it. It's actually very, very easy now. So, what do we do now? Why don't we go for more dodge, more parry? Why don't we try and avoid more? Because a blocked hit is still some damage. Surely if we avoid more, then essentially we're reducing our damage intake all the time. Absolutely not. We don't like that for a couple of reasons. One, smooth damage intake. Healers don't want spiky tanks. So if they have a tank who's doing a lot of avoidance, I mean tons of avoidance, and really pushing their stats up there, then they're going to have a spiky tank who eventually gets hit and takes some damage while they actually slacked off on the healing. We don't want that whatsoever. Another reason is we start getting heavy diminishing returns on trying to push our dodge and parry. Those stats become less and less valuable the higher we go. Therefore, we don't want to waste stats on those kind of things with our gems. The true source of power, the greatness, the He-Man sword is stamina. Going back to the Wrath of the Lich King style play, we're going for maximum stamina. We love stamina. We're going to be gemming it through the teeth, especially with our new epic gems. We're going to get as much stamina as possible because this works really well in a few ways. Firstly, there's no diminishing returns on stamina. Your health will just keep going up and up and up in a nice linear fashion. We like that. We're not wasting any stats like we would be going for dodge gems and parry gems. We're just not doing it. Stamina's just going to keep going up. Yeah, we want that to keep going up. We love it when it keeps going up. Also, there's a ton of magical damage inside the Dragon Soul Heroic. We need to be able to take this magical damage on the chin without risk of dying, giving our healers tons and tons of ways of coping with this situation. We look at bosses that give us very, very nasty magic debuffs that stack up on us like stacks of corruption. And then we look at Madness of Deathwing with huge amounts of damage going on, and also abilities like Impale, which not only require a ton of cooldowns, but a really large amount of health. This is going to be helped ever so slightly by having big stamina gems. So we're going to be sucking up that stamina gem. We're going to have a huge HP pool, we're going to be overall better with our magical damage, and we're going to be absorbing huge attacks. Just think about Hour of Twilight inside the Ultraxian Heroic encounter. We need to soak that every couple of times. Having a big HP pool allows us to just take that all in our stride with no big risks whatsoever, while we're soaking with our absolute baller team and making sure they've got cooldowns like Raid Wall, all that kind of stuff, all benefiting from us being nice and sturdy and never at risk. A dead tank is a big issue, and now we've got block capped, sorted. Now we want high HP pool, so our magical damage is also being dealt with in a good way. Really fantastic stuff. So you're going to be regemming heavily towards stamina while still maintaining your block cap or as close as possible. It is not even a sin anymore to drop slightly below it in favor of getting very high stamina and being able to cope with all these multitudes of situations that are thrown at you in the Dragon Soul encounter. Preacher, you brought up magical damage. Should I start switching my meta gem to the spell damage reduction gem, the Effulgent gem? Absolutely not. You can benefit from this on a couple of fights in the Dragon Soul Heroic, such as Madness of Deathwing. He can benefit from that. But overall, It's not going to be great to be swapping helms unless you're super picky. I would actually wait till you can get a couple of helmets, a couple of tier helmets, and bring either one and swap it around if you want to be super maximum efficient every single time. Go ahead and do that. But otherwise, it is only going to benefit you on a couple of fights. It really is. Don't worry about it too much. Warlord Zonos is another one. He's really going to benefit from having that spell damage reduction while he stacks that corruption on you, and you've got all that AoE magical damage going on. Really big benefits there. But otherwise, stick with a nice sturdy block build with high stamina gemming. That's where you want to start getting yourselves to. Stamina also works in another way. Oh, stamina just is the gift that keeps on giving. The tank weapon from the Dragon Soul, either if it's looking for raid, normal mode, or heroic, is the Soul Drinker. The Soul Drinker has a chance to heal us based on a percentage of our health. Absolutely fantastic, because the higher our HP pool, the more healing we get back off it. It just keeps giving and giving. Stamina, absolutely fantastic, guys. That's where you want to be heading with your Protection Paladin in the near future. If you're getting up to those gears, go ahead and start doing that. The next thing we want to talk about is, again, tank positioning. I bring this up in several videos because it's so important. In the background, I'm going to put a little Spine of Deathwing looking for raid kill. But notice what I'm trying to show you there is not a difficult encounter, not even the best play. What I'm trying to show you is the positioning I take in order to completely manage every single corruption that is coming out on that encounter. And you'll actually notice that during this fight, all the DPS see this huge AoE ball and ignore the hideous amalgamation completely and just start nuking the crap out of all those blobs, because I keep them in a nice central ball. There's a huge ball pit there of mobs that can be AoE down, and you'll see people cheesing DPS constantly. Positioning is all about two things. One, which way are you facing? This is very important, as some bosses almost bug out on occasion. Although we can dodge, block, and parry bosses facing us, some bosses have rather large hitboxes, and occasionally we get twisted behind us. This can happen on occasions and we take a full-on hit in the back of the head. Stamina's coming great there, but more importantly, being aware of our position. Where are we facing at the time this is going to happen? Can we alleviate the chance of this boss getting behind us sneakily, or even just trash mobs that particularly hurt, and save ourselves a problem there? Saves our healers from having to be panicked and rushed. We want nice, happy healers. That's what we want every single day. Really cool. Our camera positioning is also important, because we want to find a nice big solid position with our tank, especially when we're going to be tanking mobs spawning from 3 different locations like I have there. I obviously pick the nice middle position. That way I've got a mob spawning to my left, a mob spawning to my right, and I can see all 3 spawning points very easily. Cool. That is really helpful for me to make sure my job is being done correctly. I can throw a taunt to my left, an Avenger's Shield to my right, and all I've done really is made sure I'm zoomed out maximum. Go into your interface folder, make sure your camera distance is set to maximum, and zoom all the way out. You need to be aware of situations before they become a situation. Very important, guys, that you are aware of problems before they are a problem, and the tank can go ahead and fix those issues very quickly. Always have eyes away from the mob you're tanking, because there's no reason to check the mob you're tanking. Once you've got aggro, you should have aggro for the remainder of the fight. You now start checking the environment, making sure everything is cool. Can I manage this in a better way? And how do I create a death ball for my DPS to absolutely go ballistic and make sure they can kill things in a really efficient manner? Remember, as a Protection Paladin, you have so many tools at your disposal. You have more tools in your box than a blood DK, and that's saying something. A prop Paladin can deal with ranged situations. We can deal with huge AoE. We can do burst threat. We can do all these things, and we can absorb things, and we can also bubble and remove very dangerous debuffs. You'll see on the Madness of Deathwing fight, just as it comes to the end, I get so many stacks of tetanus, and they go ahead and just bubble, reset those. I would have died if I had not been a prop Paladin. Simple as. Haters gonna hate from the other tanks, but that is the tools that we have, and we're going to put them to the test. We're going to make sure we use those, because we're a sturdy prop Paladin, and we laugh in the face of other tanks who can't deal with these situations, as we should do. It is no good being the most proper and sturdy tank in the game and not making use of it and coming across all weak and stuttery. Oh, we don't like it. We don't want that whatsoever. So again, positioning is so important. Get used to swinging your camera around. Get that left mouse button pressed down. Get used to swinging your camera all the way out about the environment. A good tank can see what's going on 10 20 seconds ahead of when it becomes an issue for everybody else. Remember, when mobs are accidentally pulled, that healer is in trouble. The tank should be there to save it. If you look in the back at this Stone Core heroic, a very simple heroic fight, you can see the rogue goes ahead and pulls. Tank, Preacher in there, rescuing that situation. Why? Because I'm not looking at Osrook. I'm not looking at him. I'm using my camera. I'm checking the background. I'm constantly checking the environment for issues and then resolving them. Saving wipes, saving lives. That's what a tank is all about. We are not there to just do threat ballers. We're there to make sure this fight gets done. Really, really cool. Other than that, your trinket choices. The trinket choices are actually going to be very key to tanks overall, but including the prop paladin. We have choices of so many different trinkets at the moment. Let's just go out on record and say that things like the Resolve of the Undying, 990 dodge might seem immense, but it's actually garbage. We're stacking up a buff that's not that useful overall compared to stuff like the Soul Shifter, all that kind of big stamina trinkets that are going to help us in many more ways than a straight up parry trinket, although that parry trinket is indeed absolutely fantastic. And then we've got trinkets like the Indomitable Fate, where we're able to predict things like Impale, this huge giant attack is coming. Always have these things in your bags, guys. Spring along a Tall Barad trinket for when you need it. Brilliant for fights like Warlords on us. Absorbing these big attacks, making sure we've got a huge magical reduction. Brilliant situations like that, guys. So important. That's the Protection Paladin Advanced Guide for you ballers. You have a great day. I'll see you next time.